guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks so much for joining me today in my really cozy sweater that I'm now kind of regretting since I got in front of these lights. It's actually quite warm. But I'm hoping this is going to be a really quick video today. I'm only going to be talking to you about one product. It's the Hourglass Ambient Strobe Lighting Blush Palette. It's actually supposed to be a spring release, but they put it out as a preview. I'm assuming probably it's going to be available again on Sephora's website for if you didn't get a chance to get your hands on it and you're wanting to. It should be back up on there fairly soon. But I just kind of wanted to give you my first impressions. The Surreal light palette went up a couple months ago. I think it was in September that this was first released. I mentioned this, I talked about it a little bit in my makeup bag video. It was like a makeup, what's in my makeup bag and fall favorites. And I spent a little bit of time talking about this and demoing it, so I'll link that down below if you want to have a look. But if you are a big Hourglass fan or wanting to try out some more products from their line, this might be a good way to go. I have some somewhat mixed feelings about it. You might have noticed, if you are pretty familiar with Hourglass, that the packaging, they've gone back to the metallic type of packaging. It does really show fingerprints a lot. It's very reflective, and it looks exactly like the same packaging on the previously released blush palette, which came out a couple of years ago for holiday. This one now came out, and the idea is it's still the mixed blush pigment with the powders, but it's with the strobe powders instead of in the original. Ooh, great, I just dug my finger into one of these. The original palette was with the ambient lighting like finishing powders, except for the center shade, which was at the time a limited edition Incandescent Electra. That had the original release strobe powder, which they then built the strobe powder line on. I'm rambling a little bit. The new palette is, as I said, the blush pigment mixed with the strobe lighting powders. They're much, much more glowy and sheeny than the original blush line because they have highlighting powder rather than just a subtle finishing powder infused into them. When I applied the shade today and then I applied the shade yesterday, I didn't even end up using a highlighter on the top of my cheekbone. I just left it as is because it is very glowy. Also, both times that I used this, I applied it more towards the back of my cheeks, and then I used a different brighter matte blush just on the very top of my cheeks to give it a little bit more lift, because it really like puts a lot of glow everywhere. However, that said, still exactly like what I expect from Hourglass blushes, blended out beautifully, really nice and seamless, really diffused along all the edges, but very pigmented. Well, I just used a tiny bit at a time, kind of layered and built it up slowly. That's how I would recommend applying these, with a slightly fluffier brush, but not a really big brush because you don't want it to go everywhere, and just build it up slowly. But yeah, very glowy, but really gorgeous. Not really sparkly, but a lot of sheen. So the shades that are included in here, as I said, Incandescent Electra is like a really bright, cool toned peach. That was in the original palette. It's now available as a full size. That's my favorite peach tone blush. It's very cool and very bright. And then you have Brilliant Nude, so it has the Brilliant Strobe Lighting Powder with like a brownie nude toned blush, and then Euphoric Fusion, so the Euphoric Strobe Lighting Powder with a very plummy blush. Euphoric Fusion is what I'm wearing today. Plum tone blushes always go very brown on me, so actually it looks really similar to me as the nude one did yesterday, but really pretty, really like it. It would be a really good gift for anybody who's very into Hourglass. If you're trying to decide between the two holiday palettes or the two palettes that have just been released, in terms of variety of product, you get a lot more in here, but it is pricier and the pans are very, very small. This type of blush I would think is really only more of an evening blush because it is so sheeny. So this palette is a lot more versatile, but they really are both very gorgeous. I don't see myself reaching for these blushes a ton, other than the Incandescent Electra, which I already had and is one of my favorite blushes of all time, so I was happy to have it in another palette. But I don't see this getting a ton of use, so gift-wise I kind of think that the Ambient Lighting Edit is a bit more of a better way to go, but this is really beautiful. I'm glad I have it. So if you're just an Hourglass enthusiast, absolutely, I would definitely pick this up. I don't think this would be my absolute first choice if you're just getting into the Hourglass line, but it is a really gorgeous product. I'm so glad they went back to the metallic packaging, and yeah, I really like it. So those are my thoughts. If you have any questions or your own comments, I'd love it if you could leave them down below, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!